Ethical Outcomes and Business Ethics Towards Improving Business Ethics Education. On today's college campuses, unethical conduct has reached crisis proportions. We fail to convey ethics to our students, and we need to rethink how it can be taught. But let's break this down simply. I'm not going to talk about this like some big scholarly article, which we could. However, let's break it down. College kids, we need clear, we need direct, and we need simple. If we're not taught something, we're not going to do it. Our generation is a generation of rewards, is a generation of hand-holding, is a generation of, oh, we need applause for every single little thing that we do. I'm not saying that everybody is like that, because I know personally I'm not like that. And there are plenty of other people who do things under their own work ethic, under their own moral system, and they want to do well for the sake of doing well. However, even these people still need direction when being taught ethics. The paper gives a bunch of ethical outcomes, and we could go through all those, but we're not going to. I picked out the main points. We need a foundation. We need a foundation of ethics. So when you're teaching something in schools, we need a strong core ethics course. It's well and great to put ethics throughout everything that we're doing, as everything that we do, most classes, most case studies, when you're out in the real world, has ethics interwoven through it. That's fine. But you need a class for college students where they have to sit down and for however long during their week need to think about only ethics. We need those basic principles of morals and of ethics in order to even start to apply them to our other classes. If you want an integrated approach, you first need to start something and teach us something that you want us to integrate throughout the rest of what we're doing. As a brief note too, it talks about using, standards for academic articles. Obviously, we need to be using academic publications that are true and that are written the correct way and that are ethical, because it just makes sense that what we're teaching needs to reflect what we're using needs to reflect what we're teaching. That just kind of makes sense. So, side note on that. We need motivation. We need the motivation for why we're doing what we're doing. We need to stay current. We need to make sure that what we're teaching in our classrooms and what we're integrating throughout the rest of what we're teaching needs to have direct and very, very specific, applicable parts that we can add to our reality. Because whether we're out in the business world yet or not, we need to have something that we can connect to our lives and eventually connect to our professional lives. Because if you just teach us something that's abstract, that we can't grasp, we aren't going to be able to put it into other areas of our lives. So it's really important to stay current with what's happening in the world at the time. And we need consequences. If you have, a system where you say, here's our ethics, here's our morals, but no one gets punished for not doing anything or for going against them or, whatever they're doing, if it's wrong and we're not punishing it, well then it's fine that we're teaching our ethics, but if we can't back that up, then it's a moot point. We lose the point of what we're doing. You have to practice what you preach. And so that kind of also comes back down to monitoring. We need to monitor our students and have, things in place that, one, get everybody involved, and two, kind of goes back to the being a generation of rewards and consequences, subconsequently. I mean, if you have something that you get punished for and it's wrong, good, we won't do it, but you won't know it's happening unless you monitor what's going on. And this kind of leads into the fact of, we need to create a culture of moral, a culture of ethics. Everybody at the school needs to be involved. It can't just be, here's your core course and or here's your integrated studies and that's it. The teachers need to live it. The people in charge need to live it. It needs to be talked about. We need to talk about the benefits There are many benefits to being ethical to yourself, add credibility. You definitely have a better chance of, say, making a business transaction. Good for corporations. It gives them good publicity. And so if we are able to take these benefits and actually let our students know about them, it goes back to we are a generation of rewards. If we show these things will specifically reward you for being ethical, students are much more likely to listen. We need to talk about it. It needs to be talked about. Talked about like I'm talking about it, and ethics just in general needs to be a conversation on our college campuses, in the courses, in a core course, and outside of that. Clubs, talks, have the dean, if he sends out an email, a blog, something, it needs to be a conversation, because if a student has an issue with ethics outside of the classroom, they need to feel comfortable being able to talk about it with teachers, with peers, or just in general. And so we need to communicate. That basically turns into a very big conversation about ethics. Goes right back to having a culture of ethics. And again, very much so touching on the fact that we need to have current, up-to-date information. So our people who are teaching it need to be up to date. They need to do their research, and they need to talk to people in the actual field to find out what's going on, so that they can give us distinct examples. And not only is that a good thing for them, it's a good thing for us, and it will keep us engaged, because what's going on in the world right now is often what is most exciting, important, and engaging to a college student. So we need to have a core course. It can't happen without that. Like I said, you can have integrated studies, but unless you have foundations that you are integrating through your studies, through a core course, we're not going to get it. The college students are not going to understand. We need to get everybody involved. There needs to be a culture of ethics. There needs to be a communication. There needs to be a conversation between the higher-ups, between our students, and between the people who are actually in the field. We need to make sure that the people who teach do their research and that they're certified. We can't have any old teacher just thrown into our core course and say, oh, you need to teach this now. We need to make sure that we are making a core course, but on top of that, investing the time into it to make sure that it does what it needs to do. And we need to be committed. None of this is going to happen if we don't, one, believe that this is what needs to happen, and two, stay committed to making the changes. There's going to be some tough decisions to make, because sometimes it's easier to just smooth over what's going on. It's easier to not address the unethical things that are happening. But it is something very important that we need to, and we need people committed to making those tough decisions to make sure that these changes occur. Because unless these changes occur, we have a core course, and we think more closely and look more closely at how we are teaching ethics in our schools, we are not going to have a change. We are not going to have any implication, any positive effect on, one, the culture of our school, and then two, the culture of our society. Because these students in our schools are the ones that we're sending out into our businesses today. And unless we can influence them at the school level before they get out into our culture, then they're lost. We need to make sure that our society is bettered by bettering our colleges. Thank you.